So here we are. Just give you a little walk around. The vestibules seem like a decent size. I think people do say that a lot. I'm just trying to really compare this to my ELIXIR 2 in regards to the setup of it. I think from memory, the ELIXIR, I'm trying to just, really sort of dig in here to what's good and bad, or what essentially is better about the ELIXIR than the ALLAK. The vestibules, they seem to tuck in a lot more here, which is nice. And I love the fact is you don't need to peg them out. The ELIXIR, you do have to peg them out. That's the issue. It's a one-handed zipper pull, apparently. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm just gonna, for now, gently pull that whilst I'm videoing here. Which I probably shouldn't do, but okay. Well, I'm not going to peg that out, so I'm not going to just strap that off for the time being whilst I'm sort of showing you around and giving you the comparison. Okay, let's get inside. It's the first time I'm getting inside this tent, so I'll tell you how I feel about it, in my personal opinion. Honestly. Yeah, there is, as they say, good headroom. I do actually really believe that there's more headroom in the ELIXIR MSR tent than this. It's actually fairly small, really. It feels small in comparison to the ELIXIR. I'd have to say it almost feels more like a one-man tent. I think I've heard that as well, than a two-man tent. And it does get bigger in this area here. So one area does pull out, which I'm not sure if you ever get told that before. And it does make it more wide, the space more sort of wide inside. So I think this is great here, because if there is a small bit of rain coming in, I imagine that would capture it. Looking out, obviously, because you don't have that, I think it's good for the sun as well. You're looking out at kind of this little pigeonhole. But no, I think it's nice, and I really want to test it out when I'm outside in the real environment that it's made to be in. These things here, I think the vent covers, I'll feel that I'll leave those open permanently, rolled up of course, and then close this off. Oh, that must be for the attaching the bottom there. I'm just trying to figure all this out for the first time as I'm videoing with you guys. This doesn't seem mesh though, and I know there is a mesh section, isn't there? So I'm told, which is here. And this, I think for me as well, this will remain open pretty much all the time, unless I'm in the snow, which I can't see happening a mass amount. And already that little doodle's annoying me, it's in my way, it's in my view spot, which is prime real estate really. So bear with me while I just toggle that off. Right, so that's toggled off now. I'll zip this back up like so. So yeah, I'll think I'm going to keep that open constantly, and potentially this as well. And I'll do the same to the side as well. I'll open that vent. And I think this is, for me, this was a big selling point, because the ELIXIR, MSR ELIXIR, doesn't have this. And I've known sometimes when you're in your tent for a long period of time, you want to see outside really, and you really can't in the ELIXIR unless you sit up and you sort of have a look at this tiny little hole that's in a pyramid shape. So outwards, I'm hoping when I lie down, yeah, I can. When I'm lying down here, I can generally see what's happening outside the tent, and that's a big thing for me, especially if the weather's outside's pretty crap. I can actually feel like I'm still outdoors. Obviously, if it starts bucketing down with rain, that'll be a different story. But primarily, I've got a view outside, and again, that's really the kind of one of the major selling points for this tent for me. It is a 4-season tent, as a lot of people know. Probably shouldn't even mention that, because I mean, let's be honest, if you're watching this video, you're gonna really know a great deal about what you're looking at in general, so I won't point out any of the specs or features in regards to that. I have a feeling, I don't know whether it's because it's mental or whatever, but when I'm actually in this tent, people do point out a great deal that it's robust, that the zippers, oh, let's toggle at the bottom. Oh, smooth. You can tell this is real life stuff going on here. And first video, first crack at it. So, what I was saying is, people talk a lot about the quality of this tent, and that's, I think that is the case. So that's important to me, like that view. I know a lot of tents now, you know, geodesic design, dome style design, offer that sort of, I guess, view outwards. But what was important to me is having a mesh from the floor to the ceiling. But if the weather really turns to shit and really goes nuts, I can go, you know what, I'm in a 4-season tent that's bomb-proof, and I can just go, let's batten the hatches. I can zip all this off. I can then make it into this hardcore mountaineering, go anywhere kind of tent, and that's really where I'm at with it. I'm wanting something that's versatile, and I can use no matter what. I can take this up the mountain, and I don't have to think, oh, well, where can I put that, or where's this going to go, or where should I? It's just going to go anywhere it wants. And that's the thing. I mean, here in New Zealand, like in places in Scotland and the UK, the weather is very unpredictable, and it's like a little hop and skip there as I get out, and I just want to have that security of a solid tent, and have the view throughout the tent. One thing that I do feel actually as well, let me point out, is I do feel that it's an old tent when I'm in it. I mean, this design is quite old now. These cords are just, I never realised how thick these cords actually are until you until you get them in hand. And I can tell you right now, they're pretty substantial. These poles, people keep banging on about how big these poles are, but I don't really think they're much bigger than most of the tents that I've had before in the past. So yeah, internally, I feel that it is smaller than the ELIXIR 2. And when I'm in there in general, let me just go back in there now, because I've recently had the ELIXIR, the MSR ELIXIR 2. Let me just specify what it actually is. Close that off. And let's just have a check, lie down. I actually quite like it because what I usually do is I put my pack in next to me. I'm not going to go through why I do that. I just tend to do that. I notice in the ELIXIR at 2, if there's one person, it does seem like there's a bit too much ground, like, area, really. And it doesn't feel massively snug. And I do feel kind of more snug inside this as I'm thinking about it and processing this new tent for the first time. I myself have never taken this out yet, as you know, it's new. But I genuinely feel that wherever it goes, I'll feel comfortable inside it. And I'll feel safe inside it. And I think that the number one word there is safe. Not that I didn't feel safe in the MSR ELIXIR, I did. And the pockets, I mean, people keep banging on about the pockets, but I don't really care about that. If you've got that much stuff that you're having to want more pockets to put your stuff in, you're generally carrying too much shit, let's be honest. Like, as you know, this tent is approximately 3.1 kilograms. The MSR ELIXIR is 277, so it is heavier. Inside, it is, or at least it feels like it's smaller. These do open up as well, which I think is really cool, actually, because you can really open the tent up a great deal, which I also really like. Does the ELIXIR do that? Probably not as wide as this. You can literally, I haven't done it here, as you can tell, but you can pull that back, and literally the whole side of the tent opens up. So in that regard, you would feel a great deal more space. It's only when you really get inside it and start closing things up that it feels small. And again, I'm just going to do that and just pause this for a second so I can get a grip on how that feels. So there we have it. It's all folded back now. And I like it, actually. I like how this comes out like that. It's like it's a dome going that way. And I think it's going to be great if you angle it right, which, you know, we can never do all the time. If you angle it right in the wind and some drizzle, that you could probably safely say you could sit here with that open and be guarded from it. And it does open up a great deal. And I quite like how this does come down. You do feel like the tent is embracing you, like hugging you, keeping you safe. I used to have like a 40 quid tent back in the UK, probably 20 years ago, just because I didn't have a tent at the time. And I loved how the wind actually comes underneath and then falls on top of you when you're in the tent. And that's another reason why I bought this. And it actually had the same toggle system. So literally you can get inside this tent and you can untoggle it, similar to these here. And the whole inner comes out, which I also think's quite cool as well. I mean, yeah, you can set the MSR ELIXIR up in fast and light. This goes up a lot quicker than that does. Now I know how it's done. I travelled with the ELIXIR tent. I had two of them, the first one and the second one, the MSR ELIXIR V2. And sorry about the video, something's on my foot. And I travelled across 2 countries on foot with it, and in a lot of different places in the world. So I can safely say, after 2,200 kilometres of experience with that tent, crossing over a few countries, that I have got a good sort of handle on the tent, you know, pitching it, putting it down, living in it, being in it for long periods of time. But yeah, just when I'm looking at this tent, I just like it. Aesthetically, I'm pleased with it. And it's still crinkly, but I know these crinkles do fall out very quickly. It seems, and I think it definitely is, bigger. Like the footprint in general is bigger than the MSR ELIXIR 2. So therefore it is a big footprinted tent. Yeah, for sure it is. Especially when these things come really far out there. So the footprint itself is huge. It's kind of like a 3-person tent in regards to how it sits on the deck. She's got a fat ass on her. But internally, yeah, I think it's really snug. It would be really snug 2 people in here. But when there's 2 people, one can carry the poles and one can carry the tent, therefore lightening the experience. This here is like really robust. I didn't get a ground sheet because I didn't want to add to the weight, but what I will do is get a bag, actually, maybe even a black bag, thin paper black bag, cut it to size just for underneath. Not interested in this area, and yeah, and then that'll just protect it against something which got on my foot, which was a bit of sap or something before from a neighbouring tree. I think it's going to take for me to be in this tent in nature. Like, I know we're here in New Zealand and we've got mountains all around us which you can't see because it is overcast today. But I really want to experience this tent in nature, just so I can get a love for it, you know, a connection. I can get a connection to it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. With my ELIXIR tent, we had a beautiful connection because I spent so long in that tent, and it almost feels like I'm betraying it buying this one. But yeah, and I do feel safe in the ELIXIR. I know from reviews that this says that it's the way forward, but I'll make the decision in regards to that. So far, I'm happy with it, and until I've really tested it, I can't give you any more than that, what I know. Final thoughts about the sun coming through. There's quite a lot of sun today, which is nice. My final thoughts on, after unboxing and pitching the tent, is I think for the majority of people out there, and potentially even me too, it could be overkill. And if you're looking for more internal space and you are wanting to take a second person, I'd probably recommend the ELIXIR MSR ELIXIR 2 V2 tent as an alternative to this one. And I'm not saying that because I don't want you to have a HILLEBERG tent, because that would just be stupid, really, to be quite honest. It wouldn't make the slightest bit of difference. If you actually be quite good if you went out and bought a HILLEBERG tent, because I could give you like the old but it's not really necessary. I think first impressions for me was, and maybe it's because, like, you know, when you go to the cinema to watch a movie and people tell you how amazing and fantastic the movie is, and you go there and it's like, well, the hype was so big. I was like, when I got it, I was expecting to like touch the tent fabric and it would feel like I was touching a concrete wall, as people would bang on about the overall sort of feel of it. I think it's robust, but it also feels old. It feels like an old tent, and it is an old tent. The design's been going for a long time. And, well, as they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And really, if I were to try to make any adjustments in regards to it, I think I'd probably do away with the zippers and put some cordage on there instead. I think there's another guy that actually mentions that on one of the YouTube videos. I can definitely see that happening in the future for me. I thought that was a bit intense, but yeah, I can really see that happening for me also. And the cords, the guard lines, really look very old, and funnily enough, they look cheap, which I can't get my head around that. So that could be something I will change as well. All in all, though, it does really feel like an old tent. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But the designs worked according to the reviews and according to the people. The designs worked. So who am I, after pitching it up for the first time today, who am I to have any kind of opinion about how it handles weather? And that's not what this review is about. This review simply is about my thoughts and feelings about the tent, and in a comparison to the MSR ELIXIR 2 primarily, putting them head to head. If I had the chance again, would I buy it? I probably would. And the reason behind it, and the reason that I bought it this time around, is really only kind of came down to a couple of things. One is the floor to ceiling mesh. That was a big one for me. And the fact of the matter is, no matter what happens, I mean, New Zealand, the weather does change, and yeah, it does snow here. We're in winter time at the moment. If I do want to go winter camping with that tent, if I do want to take it up in the alpine areas above tree level, I can do it. And disputably, I could probably do it with the ELIXIR. But it's a 3-season tent. I mean, that's the long and short of it. It is a 3-season tent. It won't take a heavy load of snow. I have been with snow on it, and I've been wooded all night long, and I've been constantly banging on the tent fabric to get rid of the snow, the heaviness of the snow. So I don't have to worry about it with this tent. I just sleep and go, yeah, it's snowing, who cares? And that's kind of the other thing. No matter what's happening with the weather, from the reviews and from what people are telling me, and from the fact of the matter is the tent is old, but it's old and it's been proven in ridiculous conditions. So I feel confident and comfortable because of that I can take it out into those conditions, and I'll feel quite safe in doing so. And I think that's pretty much my final thoughts on it. I guess we'll see, won't we, when I do take it up there into the alpine. There's a mountain just behind the house here that I'm hoping to get up and get it set up, maybe even on the snow. So I'll be giving you an update and telling you how it goes and what I really think about it, because it's hard to tell you when it's on the ground in a back garden, let's be honest. Anyway, my coffee's getting cold, so I hope that helps you making any kind of decision. But yeah, I suppose in summary, probably buy the MSR ELIXIR 2 V2 as a general tent. If you want something lighter weight, I guess there's the I don't know myself, I've never tried it. I have had a friend with the copper spur tent, and they seem like a good lightweight alternative. Here in Australia, New Zealand, we do actually have the new version of the MSR Hubba, which is kind of like a goldy yellow colour, and it has the cyclone pole system, which some people say that they're getting little bits coming off them and sticking in their fingers, which I didn't like the sound of. Apparently they are indestructible, which I'm not disputing, but I think it'll flap around quite a lot on the wind if it's above the tree line. And would I trust it in heavy stuff? Probably not. It would probably manage it, but with the tent wall coming in at me like that, I don't think I'd feel very good about that, regardless if it holds up out the night. Whereas that bad boy out there, it's just going to do the job, and that's basically why I bought it, to do a job, do a task. And by what I've read and what I've seen, it sounds like it'll do just that.